If you do that, we're going to grab you. We're going to cancel your citizenships and we're going to deport you to your third world shitholes. But only a leader with a spine can say that. Not two-tier Kia. All right, people. Sorry about the shades. The conjunctivitis has moved to my other eye. And then I thought, why not look cool as well? So that's why I've got a hat on. In November 1938, a Polish Jew murdered a German diplomat in Paris because he was angry at the German government for expelling his entire family out of Germany. Within 24 to 48 hours, Joseph Goebbels delivered a speech to his Nazi officials in Munich. And he said that the people of Germany must respond to the Jews. As soon as he said that, riots broke out. 250 synagogues were burned. 7,000 Jewish businesses were smashed and looted. Around 90 Jews were murdered. 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and sent to concentration camp. That night is known as the Night of Broken Glass, or Kristallnacht. And then what happened after that? I don't think I need to tell you. That was the pivotal moment in Germany's history. Adolf Hitler hated the Jews. He had been expressing his hatred, but he didn't know what to do with them. But that was the moment they were waiting for. Jews up until that point were being heavily discriminated against. The Nuremberg laws had already been passed. But after this night, they started dying. Now, it wouldn't be an exaggeration if I told you that what's happening in Europe, especially in the UK, is as close to Kristallnacht as it can be. Of course, it's not quite there yet, but it's just a step before that. And the only difference is we don't have an anti-Semitic government in charge, just like the Nazis in Germany. But we have a community that hates the Jewish people. We've recorded incidents of Jewish restaurants, Jewish businesses getting smashed up in Melbourne and Sydney. And it has happened in London. Jews have been getting harassed in New York, in London, and pretty much everywhere in the Western world.
It was terrifying. The boys had to be rescued by the police as bottles and eggs rained down on them. Screaming, "We'll find some Jews. We want their blood." The police did nothing. Let that sink in. They're calling for our literal blood, and the police are just strolling alongside them.
We'll find some Jews there. We want the Zionists, we want the blood.
This is the Nike anti-Jewish edition.
A couple of hours later, we were violently assaulted leaving a kosher restaurant in an anti-Semitic attack. I hate to say this, but I'm not sure there's a future for Jews in this country. We're being attacked on the streets by extremists, and the police do nothing.
Not by the natives of those countries, but by a very aggressive community. There are people who proclaim to be the followers of the religion of peace. Oh, the irony. What should we call ourselves? We should call ourselves the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. What are we trying to do? Spread violence? Okay, let's call ourselves the peacefuls. Have a look at this. In Golders Green, which is a heavily Jewish area in London, this is what happens. 4 Jewish organization ambulances were torched in London. So these 2 men came out of nowhere and they just torched these ambulances. And there were some explosions heard. So that's what's happening in London. Now have a look at this. Some people say he's the worst prime minister in British history. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually is the worst prime minister the UK's ever had, and the least popular one too. He's speaking from both sides of his mouth. He just sits there and he delivers these really alarming speeches, but does absolutely nothing.
Well, this is a horrific anti-Semitic attack. And of course, my thoughts, I think all of our thoughts, will be with those in the vicinity, the residents who are understandably very concerned, a Jewish community across the country deeply concerned. I've already been in touch with community leaders this morning and will continue to do so during the day. But anti-Semitism has no place in our society, and it's really important that we all stand together at a moment like this.
There's one community that keeps on doing this over and over again. If you are actually serious about stopping the spread of anti-Semitism in your country, then you need to get rid of the key problem. It's not the far right white supremacists who are doing that, although there are a lot of people who have got this Israel and Jewish derangement syndrome. For example, like this James Goddard guy. He's an ethno-nationalist. Look what he's saying. Have the Jews been setting fire to their own ambulances to manufacture outrage? Or is it the Mohammedans, meaning the Muslims? Because of their Jewish and Israeli derangement syndrome, they genuinely believe that maybe it's the Jews who are doing this to themselves. So right after a horrible attack on the Jewish community, the Muslims are actually blaming the Jews. That's like blaming the New Yorkers right after 9/11. That's like blaming the Londoners right after 7/7. But because it's the Jewish people, it's perfectly fine. I'm not going to play you the video because this woman is absolutely insufferable. She's saying the fact that there is more outrage and tears over empty ambulances being torched by aggressive jihadis versus Israel killing human beings across 4 different countries. What do the Jewish people of Golders Green have got to do with Israel? You see, they justify everything. In their worldview, it's perfectly fine to kill, destroy, maim, injure, damage the property of Jewish people because Israel did that so-and-so. You see, there is no pleasing of these people. Some people call her a jihadi Barbie, but look at her. She doesn't present herself like a radical Muslim. She doesn't have a hijab or niqab like the typical bin bag wearing women. She's not dressed like that. She likes to present herself as a modern 21st century progressive Muslim. That's how she presents herself. That's why when Piers Morgan was asking them, do you condemn Hamas? That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to expose them, who these people are. This woman, she celebrated the October 7 terrorist attack because they can't help themselves. Every time a Jewish person is killed or his property is damaged, these people literally celebrate it. And then Keir Starmer says, oh, there's no place for anti-Semitism in our society. He just keeps giving these statements after statements. Rightfully, people have started demonstrating against this rising tide of anti-Semitism. And looks like, I'm sorry, Jewish people, I think you've been abandoned. This is it. You guys have been abandoned. I think London is not safe. London is a hub of Islamism. Look at this. Armed soldiers are deployed to guard Jewish sites in Belgium after a series of attacks. Look at that. Who would have thought? Are they not protecting the Jews from another Kristallnacht?
It's time that they see what's going on. Last night they burned 4 Jewish ambulances, so they see it has to be done. There's no other option.
There is an option. Start grabbing these people. Start deporting them. Start canceling their citizenship. And these people don't even care. They actually don't care about getting the citizenships cancelled or going to jail. This is how much they're driven by their hate. They hate the Jewish people. It's a religious identity. People don't get it. And this clown of a Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and obviously his buddy here in Australia, Anthony Albanese, these 2 idiots are not very bright. They're not some great statesmen. These are no Nelson Mandelas or Abraham Lincolns. So they're already so incompetent. And then on top of that, they have taken up probably the most difficult job which no man has been able to achieve, which is to tell Muslims not to hate the infidels. It's in Islam's DNA. He keeps thinking that, oh, we're going to create a society where Muslims and Jews and Christians will live in harmony. Jews and Christians have been living in harmony. But when you add an aggressive religion like Islam, good luck with that. And this fool of a Prime Minister, he actually thinks he can do it. There is no solution, guys. You have to put the foot down. You have to say that this is not who we are. You guys have civilizational ambitions and civilizational positions. Just like that, we in the West, i.e. Britain, we have a civilizational position. We recognize Israel's existence. We recognize our Jewish people, and we do not tolerate any violence against them. You saying that Israel has committed a genocide in Gaza, therefore we're going to target the Jews in Melbourne, in Sydney, in New York, in London. If you do that, we're going to grab you. We're going to cancel your citizenships, and we're going to deport you to your third world shitholes. But only a leader with a spine can say that. Not two-tier Kia. Oh, so this move came after an explosion hit a Belgian synagogue earlier this month. In March. Oh, there you go. There was another attack on a synagogue in Belgium. We didn't even hear about it. These things are so common that they don't even come up on our radars.
We always need to have a protection, to have security. We need security for our children, for the schools, for the youth movements. Our children must be totally protected when they have any communitarian activity. And so we are asking for that anytime, especially now because we are very much concerned before the attack, but certainly more since the attack in Liège. And so we need that. We are somehow reassured, but we are never without concern.
Reason why you have to fight them is because they are Jews and Christians. You should fight those empires around you, or those hukumat around you, which are Jew or Christian, until they give the jizya. And then the howness of that is in the hadith. 3 options that they're given: either you give the jizya, or you do this, or you do that. Yeah, we're not apologetic about that point. That is truth.
So these people have been doing these things for decades. This is the reason why people don't have a problem with Hindus or Buddhists or Jews. They don't have a problem with them. You got to ask yourself, this is obviously not a race question, because if it was racist, then these racist people would be targeting everyone. Why is it that everyone is targeting these people? Again, as I said, you can't gaslight us by saying not all Muslims. Doesn't matter. When these Muslims become the sole representatives of Islam and of the Muslim community, then you can't blame the people for being alarmed, being distressed by you. The whole of the UK is distressed and alarmed by these people. And unless lipstick-wearing, moderate, progressive Muslims start coming out in huge numbers and start condemning these people of their brazen actions like the ones we saw at Trafalgar Square, we see them pretty much every week, everywhere. Everywhere. We saw that in Sydney. You saw that? The police had to force them out, and then again, Islamophobia, oh my goodness. It's the same playbook all across the Western world, which is the reason why all across the Western world, people are somewhat accepting of the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Jews and the Chinese and the Vietnamese people. But there is one community, they're like, oh, you know what? We don't want to have anything to do with them. So instead of gaslighting the public, look into the mirror and ask yourself that maybe it's the bad behavior of your community that is antagonizing these people enough that has brought these people to the point where they're saying, no, we don't want to hear anything, send them out, F him. Rupert Lowe is knocking on the door. Nigel Farage, who was taking a rather soft approach on these people, he's now being forced to take a very extreme right position because Rupert Lowe is knocking on the door. He was complaining about Kemi Badenoch. He was complaining about the Tories. I read you the tweet of Nick Timothy, I think his name is, who just absolutely ripped into this display of dominance at Trafalgar Square, organized by Sadiq Khan. They keep doing this. When we say that they have no respect for Western values or British values, what do we mean by that? These people know that it is provoking the natives. It's angering the natives. Maybe just for the sake of social cohesion, just as a goodwill gesture, maybe we should take a step back. Okay, guys, we understand our relationship is falling apart. I understand that we have some really bad eggs who have presented a really bad image of Islam. And we think that we should be allowed to pray publicly. But if you guys think that this is alarming you, distressing you, antagonizing you, provoking you, then as a goodwill gesture, we're not going to do this. Come on, do it. But they don't do it. This is why we say that it is a show of dominance. An individual Muslim might think that, oh, I'm just praying. Islam is a culture. What does Islam mean? It doesn't mean peace. Islam means submission. Submission to Allah. That's what they're doing. They're showing you that Allah is here. We are praying. They're sucking up to their God. They love to suck up to their God. They love to show that, hey, God, look what we're doing for you. That's why they're so fanatical. That's why they want to die. They actually want to die. They don't value life like we do. So no, spare me your crocodile tears. I have been predicting this for a very long time, and I reckon Britain is ready. The Tories have taken a very strong stance because they know they will be wiped out in the next general election. My only worry is that they're going to split the right-wing vote, all three of them. I think Tories are going to make some ground because they're going to take a harsher position towards the Islamists. And Reform is obviously already the biggest political party. Restore is growing, and it is undoubtedly has taken the harshest points. By the way, I agree with all of them. If I was Rupert Lowe, I'd go even further to the right. I will. Desperate times call for desperate measures. It is not by design. These very people were very welcoming only until 20 years ago. Nobody was talking about these things. They banned their own people from using the P word. That's how nice these people were. And what they do, you give them an inch, they take a mile. So it's not going to end. The only way to end this is to put the foot down. Say enough is enough. We're not going to tolerate this. You have a problem. Go to a country which is more in line with your values, but we're not going to compromise on our values.